Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Right, okay, so we're following on from last week's episode of the show where we looked at the Usige Source, I think I've got that pronunciation correct, Usige Source Speyside water with looking at the Highland. As we saw last week, it had quite a profound effect upon the character of the whiskey that we were tasting it with. So I'm hoping that obviously the effect will be as noticeable with the Highland Water. So this evening's whiskey that I've chosen to accompany the water with, it's our way of putting it, but you know what I mean, is this. It is the James MacArthur Old Masters Ben Nevis, distilled in 1998, bottled in 2012, thus making it 14 years old, aged in American oak, and it's cask number 1499. So that's this afternoon's whiskey, bottled at 54.7%. So, excuse me. So we will basically, follow the same format as last week. I'll start off by tasting the water, then I will taste the whiskey neat and see what that's like. Then we will taste the whiskey, incidentally, same proportions as last week, 15 cls of spirit to 2 cls of water. So we'll look at Tesco Bog Standard spring water, and then we will look at the Usige Source and see if the difference is as noticeable as it was when we did the Speyside. So let's start by tasting some water again, shall we? Right, okay, so the water. Let's see what that gives us then, shall we? As I expected, it's quite crisp, quite granity, very, very fresh, very granity, minerally, hard. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was expecting of Highland Water. I mean, when I think of Highland whiskies, I think of that sort of granity, hard kind of character. Certainly, things like Tomintoul 12 display it quite nicely. And I mean, although the Highlands obviously are a large area of Scotland, and you've got obviously the different variations between, say, East and West Highland and all that kind of stuff. It's probably a bit simplistic to say, but that's what I think of as Highland whiskey, and that crisp, granity kind of character. And it obviously comes from the water, which is just blatantly obvious. So, as I expected, crisp, fresh, granity, hard, a little chalky, a little bit of calcium. But straight as die, really, as I was expecting. So let's taste some whiskey. Right, okay, so I was actually finding it quite difficult to find a cask strength Highland that we had, that I had in the house. So it's this one. It's the Ben Nevis, and let's see what the Nevis gives us then, shall we? Oh, it's fragrant, slightly perfumed, but that classic kind of Ben Nevis kind of malty, slightly treacly, bready, doughy kind of character, which I often find, like I said, with Ben Nevis. Really rich, a little bit of heather, gorse, a little bit of violet. Has that kind of almost refilled sherry kind of richness to it. I mean, obviously we know it's an American oak cask, but it has that rich fruit character. And certainly I think blind, you would think, oh, that could possibly be refilled sherry. It's very, very rich. But like I said, I mean, it's got a lovely depth to it. Really malty and doughy, chewy, full. I mean, just classic Ben Nevis as far as I can see. Plenty of dry alcohol. Big, chewy, well, not big, no, fairly sizable. Size of a small elephant, if you remember that. Yeah, malty, bready, doughy, chewy, malty. That is nice. Lots of rich fruit, a little bit of treacle, little bit of American oak, although it's more about the sort of barley, sort of treacle, malty kind of character. The alcohol does leave it a little bit short, but it lingers really pleasantly, and I think that's yeah, pretty damn good bottling as far as I can see. So so yeah, nice cask selection, I think. I'll be there by your side until I die. Right, okay, so on to the first of the diluted versions. Like I said, this is Bog Standard Tesco's spring water, so let's see what the nose gives us. Sweetened it in actual fact. It's fuller, possibly a little bit more oak, a little bit more caramel come through, but it's still really nicely dense. Still lots of that toffee and malty, bready, rich character. It's a hearty dram, as they say. Still a little bit perfumed. I think it's just kind of mellowed it all out. I mean, it's maybe bringing forward the oak a little bit more than when it was neat, but that's still really enjoyable palate. That has definitely sweetened it. Definitely brought out more of the oak. Definitely, I'm getting a lot more caramel, toffee, a bit more barley. Maybe not quite so maltiness, maybe sort of slightly in the background a little bit, but mouth-filling, sweet, juicy, rich, real mouth-filling malt. That is lovely. Really, very, very good. So, yeah, I think just adding a little drop of water has fattened it all out a bit. You know, taken the edge off the alcohol, sort of allowed everything to sort of like, you know, come forward and show really nicely. So, yeah, like that. That's impressive. And finally, with the Usige Source, let's see what this does to it. A lot fresher, a lot more granity, a lot harder. That's quite a surprising change. Well, no, it's not surprising because I mean I tasted the water earlier on, so I had a kind of inkling it was going to do this to it. But it's quite a dramatic change. I mean, whereas if you remember when we did the Speyside, the Speyside water softened it, rounded it, sweetened up the malt, whereas the Tesco spring water was a lot harder. Now this is the other way round. The Speyside, the Highland water is a lot harder, a lot granitier than the spring water. So it's kind of, again, bringing forward the oak a little bit more caramel, but it's giving that sort of the honeyed note, a lot of a harder edge to it, a lot of sort of maybe more brittle, mineral. It probably is more, like I said, this is more kind of atypical of a Highland whiskey. Yeah, palate. Yeah, again, it's brought forward the oak a little bit. Really made the finish quite granity, quite hard, quite not quite a little bit austere, very minerally, very taut, very again really juicy, bready, malty, full, but harder, more intense. Yeah, yeah, pretty damn good, I'd say. Right, okay, so let's sum this up. Well, I think we can agree that, like last week's tasting with the Speyside, the Highland Water certainly has makes a difference. It certainly is a lot harder than the spring water, and it obviously gives the Highland whiskey more of a classic Highland, in inverted commas, kind of character. It certainly makes it harder, more minerally, fresher. So yeah, again, I think it just goes. It shows that you know, I don't think there's not really a right water and a wrong water. I mean, maybe, and I probably will get these in and stock them because they are really. It's just very impressive what they do, and I think you know everybody should. If they drink cask strength whiskies and tend to use water, then they should certainly try using these with the same whiskies. I mean, it might be interesting to try sort of like, you know, a Highland with the Speyside water or something like that. I don't know, or with Isla water. I could probably go on with these kind of episodes of the show ad infinitum, I imagine. But anyway, coming back to the point. It's certainly interesting, and I definitely think that there is something to this, that these waters do obviously complement the whiskies from a specific region, and I think we've just proven it, you know, and I'm kind of quite looking forward to the next episode when we do Isla. So that will be really interesting because I'm really looking forward to tasting the Isla water, shall we say? So. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this episode of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you will think about maybe going out and buying this stuff. And no, I'm not being paid a commission by these guys to say that, but I really do believe that that this is worth trying. This is certainly worth it. And yeah, okay. So enough of my waffling. I'll just bid you good afternoon and good running. Next time.